Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist. Good morning. Can you hear me? Am I on? Okay. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church in Eugene. Welcome to everyone gathered on Zoom from all over the country and beyond. My name is Chris Topaz. I use the pronouns she and her. I'll be your worship associate for today. I'm wearing a red sweater. I'm a medium-sized older woman. And I have my elf hat on for the joy of the season. Today, our worship service is a little bit different than usual. I think we kind of say that a lot. Is there a usual? I just noticed that. But today is very special because it's our pageant performed by our kids and youth. This Sunday is an all-ages worship. The children are going to stay here. There's no childcare today. Our teachers are ill. All the information you need to know about today's service can be found on our handy guide to Sunday worship. And if you didn't get one on your way in, please raise your hand now, and our handy-dandy elves will bring you one. Handy-dandy elves. Hello, handy-dandy elves. Our elves are busy helping Santa because, you know, Christmas is on its way. Thank you, Ryan. Keep your hands up. Ryan will bring you a handy-dandy guide to Sunday worship. Zoom friends, our tech team is dropping a copy of the order of service and a visitor form into the chat. And now, let's enter a time of worship by lighting the flaming chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Walker's going to be helping us today. Griffin and I are going to read some words from a celebration of Winter Solstice from The Circle of Life by Joyce Rupp and Macarene Wiederkehr. There's a tendency to want to hurry from autumn to spring, to avoid the long, dark days that winter brings. Many people do not like constant days bereft of light and months filled with colder temperatures. They struggle with the bleakness of land and the emptiness of trees. Their eyes and hearts seek color. Their spirits tire of tasting the endless gray skies. There is great rejoicing in the thought that light and warmth will soon be filling more and more of each new day.
But winter darkness has a positive side to it. As we gather to celebrate the first turn from winter to spring, many people do not like constant. As we gather to celebrate the first turn from winter to spring, we are invited to recognize and honor the beauty and often unwanted season of winter. Let us invite our hearts to be glad for the courage winter proclaims. Let us be grateful for the wisdom winter brings in teaching us about the need for withdrawal as an essential part of renewal. Let us also encourage our spirits as earth prepares to come forth from this time of withdrawal into a season filled with light.
Thank you, Griffin. Now, Walter's going to help us again light our Advent candles. We've been lighting them each week. And this is our fourth Advent candle. We light the first one for hope. We light the next candle for peace. And we light the next one for love. And the fourth candle on this, the last Sunday before Christmas, is for joy. May our lives reflect the joy of those who know that the world overflows with amazement.
Today is the winter solstice, a time for celebration and reflection. The winter solstice has many symbols across cultures. Some you may recognize, and some you might not. During today's service, us kids are going to share some of these traditions with you. First, let us turn to some science.
The winter solstice is actually a scientific phenomenon. It occurs because the Earth doesn't turn on a straight axis. Instead, it is tipped a bit. When the Earth is tilted away from the sun, the northern hemisphere experiences more darkness, and the southern hemisphere experiences more daytime. The winter solstice is the time when the North Pole is furthest from the sun.
As you get closer to each pole, the day becomes shorter or longer, depending on where you are. In Australia, it is the middle of the summer, and today they're celebrating their summer solstice, the longest day of the year.
Humans have been celebrating the winter solstice for thousands of years. Neolithic peoples in Great Britain figured out the solstice and built Stonehenge to honor the sunset on the winter solstice. That was almost 5,000 years ago.
The winter solstice reminds us of the seasons of the year. We get fall, winter, summer, fall, winter, and spring based on the tilt of the earth towards or away from the sun. It's so cool to imagine all the different ways humans have recognized and honored the seasons over thousands of years.
Thank you, scientists. It's always interesting to learn that there are scientific phenomena connected to important cultural events.
This is The Shortest Day by Susan Cooper. So the shortest day came and the year died, and everywhere down the centuries of the snow-white world came people singing, dancing to drive the dark away. They lighted candles in the winter trees. They hung their homes with evergreen. They burned beseeching fires all night long to keep the year alive. And when the New Year's sunshine blazed awake, they shouted, reveling. Through all the frosty ages, you can hear them echoing behind us. Listen. All the long echoes sing the same delight. This shortest day, as promised, wakens in a sleeping land. They carol, feast, give thanks, and dearly love their friends, and hope for peace. And so do we here now, this year and every year. Welcome, Yule.
Across history and around the world, the winter solstice isn't just a scientific fact. It is an important spiritual, cultural, and historical day. I wonder who else might help us understand this cultural connection.
I can. I'm an anthropologist.
Oh, thank goodness. What can you tell us about this cultural significance?
I know so much. The winter solstice has been a time of ritual and sacrifice since Neolithic times, which was almost 10,000 years ago. Oftentimes, it represents the cycle of death and rebirth. Cultures recognized that the days would get shorter and shorter until a certain day where suddenly the days get longer again. It means winter is ending and spring is coming soon.
Wow, 10,000 years of scientific knowledge. That's a long time.
Yep, and we have proof that cultures have been celebrating the solstice by looking at stone monuments from ancient cultures. Stonehenge in Great Britain was made by the Anglo-Saxon culture, and Cahokia Woodhenge was made by the Mississippi people in North America. Both monuments were built to align with the sun on the solstice, so the setting sun shines right through center, just like our prom.
Well, thank you, Dr. Anthropologist. I wonder where we're going to start our journey around the world. Maybe Persia?
Sounds good to me.
For our first cultural offering, let's explore the festival of Yalda, which is part of Zoroastrianism, which is the oldest monotheistic religion in the world. Monotheistic means they worship one god named Ahura Mazda. Zoroastrianism is most commonly practiced in the modern countries that were once part of the Great Persian Empire, like Iran, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, and Azerbaijan.
Yalda is a very important night. On the longest night of the year, it is the time when Deva, or evil spirits and forces of Ahriman, are most powerful. To ward off spirits, we spend time with the company of loved ones and stay up all night telling stories and singing songs.
We eat dates, nuts, and red fruit like pomegranate and watermelon to represent the red of a new dawn rising. We read poems for the great human Hafiz.
Actually, I have a poem from Hafiz. Do you think you could read it?
Yeah. This poem is called Ghazal 42. I long to open up my heart, for my heart do my part. My story was yesterday's news. From rivals cannot keep apart. On this holy night, stay with me, till the morning do not depart. On a night so dark as this, my course how can I chart? O breath of life, help me tonight, that in morn I make a start. In my love for you, who I will myself and ego thwart, like Hafiz, a being love smart, I long to master that art.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Yalda certainly sounds like a fun evening. What do we have next?
Let's talk about Dongji. With these characters, Dong means arrival and Jiu means winter. It's the arrival of winter. It's more like the arrival of the most extreme part of winter. So after today, the days get longer and warmer. We can also trace this festival back to cosmology, or the creation of the universe, through the struggle between yin and yang.
So like good and evil?
The winter solstice reminds us of the seasons of the year. We get summer, fall, winter, and spring, based on the tilt of the earth towards or away from the sun. Wrong. Not really. It's more like a struggle between passive and active. Yin is passive and retractive, and yang is active and expanding. Dongju is when yin energy is at its strongest. The longer days come to mean an increase of the positive yang energy, bringing balance back to the world.
So how is Dongji celebrated?
These days, it's seen as a more traditional holiday, so people aren't having big celebrations since Lunar New Year is just around the corner. But people do eat tangyuan, which are these yummy glutinous rice balls I've brought. And people also enjoy hot pot and dumpling soup, things that keep us warm during the long, cold months of winter.
Well, thank you for the tangyan and for teaching us a bit about Dongji. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, buddy.
The winter solstice can be overshadowed by celebrations in other countries too. Just like Dongji is eclipsed by the Lunar New Year, lots of pagan celebrations of Yule have been eclipsed by Christmas.
We will talk about Yule. It is important to keep traditions alive. Celebrations like these matter because they remind us of our cultural roots. Even if they're not as heavily commercialized as some holidays, Valentine's Day, doesn't mean we can just gloss them over.
Very well. Would you like to share some information about Yule?
The Yule we're talking about was originally celebrated by Germanic peoples pre-Christianization. Before Christian missionaries came to Europe, the Germanic and Anglo-Saxon tribes prayed to lots of different gods and goddesses. While some of the traditions were eventually incorporated into Christmas, modern pagans still celebrate Yule as a separate holiday. Paganism is about stories, and the story we'd like to tell you is about the Holly King and the Oak King, brothers who fought for dominance over the seasons throughout the year. As fall turns to winter, the Holly King gains power until midwinter or the solstice when he is at his strongest. But his brother, the Oak King, has been biding his time, and at the solstice, he rises up to reclaim the throne, promising that summer will come once more.
It seems like a lot of the traditions I've seen today are about a balance between dark and light. I guess it does make sense since this is the darkest night of the year.
And we have our own way of bringing the light back in with our Yule log.
It's not going.
The Yule log is our symbol of returning light. We light it to welcome the sun back into our homes and into the world.
Beautiful. Well, we've had some very interesting folks share their traditions with us today, and I think it's time we...
Hey, hold up. We have one more thing.
Oh?
We aren't just regular scientists. We're stationed in Antarctica, and we have our own midwinter celebrations, but during the winter solstice in the southern hemisphere.
So we celebrate our solstice on June 21st when it's pitch black in Antarctica.
Sometimes we have video calls with leaders of all the countries represented, like the President of the United States, and we cook a fancy feast and watch scary movies about being trapped in winter.
Like The Shining.
Yep, it's a great holiday, and we brought a copy of the Antarctic flag to represent us.
Thanks so much, scientists. It's great to know all the different ways the solstice is celebrated, both secular and spiritual.
And scientific.
Indeed. The winter solstice is celebrated around the world in many different ways, but the feelings of peace, joy, and coming together to share food cross all of those cultural boundaries. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and thank you to all of our participants for sharing their traditions with us.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now, as you go out into this shortest day and longest night, may you carry your light and love into the world. They need it. Everyone needs it so much. Go in peace. Happy solstice.